Hi, I'm Mike Burrows, and today's video is about my white paper, Everywhere All at Once, an overview of the deliberately adaptive organization. That's the model that's at the heart of my new book, Wholehearted Engaging with Complexity in the Deliberately Adaptive Organization. Now, I first published the white paper a couple of years ago, but the book is only out this year, and I've made some extensive revisions to the white paper, so you want to get the latest version of it. So what's in it? I'll take you through it quickly, section by section. Now, the first thing I want to stress is that it's a very different kind of approach to one you may expect. If your background involves things like lean and agile, you may expect a process-based approach. Now, this is a relational approach. We're looking at different aspects of the organization, and we're appreciating the mutual relationships that exist between them and asking how can they be healthier and more productive. So we start with basic relationships, for example, person to person, person to group, group to group, and then we can start to look at more subtle relationships, relationships between people and groups and their work, their overall workload, the commitments around their work, and so on and so on, and where that work comes from, and the relationship between the work and the strategy process, for example. More classic relationship, you could say, between the organization and the business environment. Now, what should I mention here is that these relationships, there are many, many of them. These are myriad relationships between many people, many groups, cross-cutting concerns, different business domains, different kinds of work, all of that. Some of these relationships are stable, some of them are very fluid. We are very much in the realms of complexity. But the good news is that they're actually quite straightforward to organize. So this is the model now, a model for every organizational scale, whether we're talking teams of teams, cross-cutting structures, bigger structures, the whole organization. If you identify with an organizational scope of some kind and it does some useful work, then this model almost certainly applies. So we start with these three overlapping spaces: delivering, discovering, renewing, adaptive strategizing, mutual trust building. Three things here, and inside each space, again, three things, three systems now. So at all the time, we're keeping the level of detail down to something that is very easily manageable. And then understanding that model for every scale individually, it helps us understand the relationships between levels of scale. Understand that the strands of the relationships between a team and its team of teams, for example, or team of teams and the bigger department or division that it belongs to. In a similar vein, when we're looking at things like the networks that exist in the interpersonal networks that exist in your organization, when we look at how people are organized around particular challenges, around particular business domains, we can understand, well, what do we need from them if they are going to be effective? That's organizing at human scale, and we're going towards a more flexible understanding of structure. If you want to be a deliberately adaptive organization, you need a more flexible understanding of structure. Now, remember, we've been talking about relationships all the way through. Mutual relationships, are they healthy and productive? And wherever we identify a relationship that's not as healthy and productive as we would like, there are stories that we can tell, stories that are true, but ought not to be true. And we can map those out, and different people will respond to different of those stories, things that are naturally motivated to try to change. So that gives you an idea of the approach. And I should say something about its sources. It's based on a classic model, the viable system model, Stafford Beer's viable system model, a model from the 1970s that we've very much brought up to date, both in terms of how it's presented and in small areas of detail where we've made some changes from the classic version. Now, the most important change in approach is that it's not so much an analytical and diagnostic approach. It's an approach that's participatory, dialogic, to use a technical term, generative, to use another technical term. But we know that in something that's complex, we need multiple perspectives on it. It's not about agreeing one version of reality. It's actually giving voice to all those different perspectives. So we allow different people to identify with different organisational scopes, perhaps with multiple organisational scopes, perhaps with scopes at different scales of organisation, for example. You can have different people in the room with all these different understandings of what part of the organisation we're talking about, and still they can have a productive conversation. The model gives them a framework for productive conversations about the organisation. Similarly, if they have different understandings of how the work is done, how it's coordinated, how it's organised, and so on. And it's very easy to miss, but even this starting point of delivering, discovering, renewing has some profound implications. It actually simplifies the model. Who would have thought that something so essential to 21st century work, that we deliver as we discover as we deliver, we're renewing our capabilities along the way, such a natural way of working in the digital age organisation, so different to the 1970s, and rather than complicating the model, it actually simplifies it. Who'd have thought? That was a surprise even to me. So all of that, you can read the white paper, download the PDF from agendashift.com/everywhere. You can download it without giving your email address, or you can provide your email address, get access to the original Google Doc, and also get added to our mailing list so you don't miss anything. About the book, go to Amazon, search Wholehearted Mike Burrows. I stress Amazon because that's where the print edition is and where the 5-star reviews are, but the ebook is available on other platforms as well. I'll leave it there, leave you just with the usual links. agendashift.com/book/wholehearted for everything wholehearted related. agendashift.com/events with news of training, conferences, meetups, all those kinds of things. And in the next few weeks and months, there is training online in Copenhagen and in Bangalore. For you not to miss anything, do join the mailing list, agendashift.com/subscribe. Follow Agendashift Academy and myself, Mike Burrows, on LinkedIn. And all these videos go first to LinkedIn, but they do go to my YouTube channel as well. So I will see you soon.